The key function provided by Azure Active Directory is really user management and the ability to define or synchronize users into Azure Active Directory so that you can then use that identity or use those identities within applications, which I mean really is what authentication and user management is always all about. Right? And what you have with directory users and some of the capabilities. One, you can always take and create your own custom directory users, right? So I can go in through Azure, I can go to my Active Directory entry in Azure through the Azure portal, interestingly enough through the Classic portal, and I can add users and create users that are part of a domain that is defined within that Azure Active Directory, right? Or you can use a Microsoft account, okay, and that could be a, for example, Outlook account, or if you're old school, Hotmail account, something registered through the Microsoft authentication system, and that can be included in the directory as well. And in terms of the unique usernames, those can also be associated or synchronized from your on-premises Active Directory environment, right? And you'll have an SSO portal that is you're going to be able to register applications. Those are going to show up on the portal. You can control access to those applications, right? And then the portal itself, and we'll talk about this, will allow users to authenticate. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. If you're going to integrate with a third-party application, again, there are hundreds of these. My personal favorite being the Concur application, right? And the third-party application can integrate in a couple of different ways, right? One, the third-party application may allow you to use your Azure AD account directly in the third-party service, and that's going to be a service that has been built specifically to work with Azure Active Directory users, right? And that's certainly a capability that's available and that some cloud services have provided or made available. What is probably more common at the moment is users authenticate with their third-party service account, and then the information is stored securely in their Azure AD account. So this becomes a fairly common single sign-on architecture, right? There's a lot of single sign-on solutions that do this. You log into the single sign-on, and it's got embedded in it your username and password for different other systems so that you can kind of daisy chain that into the other system. And of course, the systems are typically designed to integrate that way. And as I mentioned, if you've, in some cases, you can actually push your accounts and auto provision accounts in third-party apps, but that's going to be dependent on the third-party app. Now, in terms of the users themselves, all right, and I kind of like this, 3 different ways that you can look at your directory users. One, I can create users directly in Azure AD, and I can either do that through the portal, a very simple process to go in through the portal and add users, or through the API, and what we'll talk about as the Azure AD Graph that I could use to manage users, create users, etc. And you can also synchronize, and you can tell where sort of the emphasis may be here, synchronize from your on-premises Active Directory. There's an infrastructure that is designed to support that. We don't cover that in this course because that's really an administrative topic, but it's not that complex to perform a synchronization and to set up an ongoing synchronization so that your on-premises Active Directory information, your user information is going to be synchronized up into Azure AD and then made available to any single sign-on solutions potentially. All right, and there can also be third-party accounts. As we said, Microsoft identities can also be added directly into Azure Active Directory. So again, big picture, and we're going to see this obviously. I think you have to see it to really fully understand it. But conceptually, I've got this system for managing identities, for managing users. Those users can come from a variety of places.